You better watch out, ETSU, because VMI can beat you. Hi, everybody. I'm Marky Billson. It's Monday morning at 7 p.m. at Freedom Hall. The ETSU Buccaneers, 6-5 and 2-1 in the Southern Conference, coming off a 12-point loss to Furman on Saturday, will be taking on the Virginia Military Institute Keydets, who are 7-6 and are coming off a 7-point victory against the Citadel on Saturday. The Citadel previously was 8-1. And this is not the same old Keydets. The Keydets, remember, last year, 3-15 in the conference, abysmal, but most of their losses were by 6 points or less. And although they have a new point guard, it is a situation where it seems as if the Keydets may just be the most improved team in the Southern Conference. Now, they not only defeated the Citadel, but they defeated Chattanooga. Chattanooga's a bit of a sinking ship, but those are two teams that are 19-6 combined that the Keydets have defeated. There are losses to the likes of Penn State and Virginia Tech. I might argue that, in fact, VMI has played more big boys than anybody else in the SoCon. There is a disappointing loss to Samford, I'll give you that, but more on that Samford loss in a bit. Now, ETSU is a 7.5-point favorite, and why not? They're the perennial contenders in the Southern Conference, basically these last 4 years or so, the team to beat with 2 SoCon titles. And what's VMI? That's a team that always finishes in last place, right? Well, maybe not this year. Maybe not with a whole new cast for ETSU, and maybe with a very strong cast for VMI. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, is Ladarius Brewer, 16-point-a-game scorer for ETSU, coming back? That'll be the determining factor whether or not VMI can hang with ETSU or not. Not necessarily. I think Brewer may give depth to ETSU, and that might be the key, because VMI still, they've got a strong starting 5, but they are not a very deep team at all. But here are some things to look for. Silas Hideki. Boy, is this guy an unheralded player. It's because he doesn't score. But the center not only played on 2 NCAA tournament teams up at Northern Kentucky before transferring to ETSU, but he's added solid defense in the middle. Now, VMI has a center by the name of Jake Stevens. He's coming off that 33-point game against the Citadel. How do you beat the Keydets? You don't let Stevens get the ball inside. I've looked at the stats. When Stevens gets 11 shots or more, the Keydets win. They're 4-1. When he doesn't, they lose. Hideki kept Noah Gurley off the scorers list in the defeat to Furman, so that's a good sign for ETSU. Maybe Stevens is really coming on. Also, Greg, don't call me Bubba Parham, is in the line. Just a great scorer. Another one of these guys at VMI who, shoots a lot of threes and scores a lot of points. I mean, technically he's the point guard. Normally, I don't like point guards who do the shooting. I still don't. But, well, let's just look at ETSU's point guard situation. And it is absolutely appalling that the media has not given this more play. David Sloan started the first 8 games at the point for ETSU. ETSU is 4-4. Then they went to Cyril Smith Jr. for a couple of games. ETSU wins both of those games with Ladarius Brewer out. Sloan comes back in at the point. Smith goes over to a wing, and ETSU loses. So ETSU is 2-5 when against D1 opponents. They have defeated a couple of tomato cans, but 2-5 against D1 opponents when Sloan is the starting point guard, the K-State transfer, Kansas State. Whereas Smith, the Maryland transfer, 2-0. But if you look at the turnover-assist ratios, yeah, it's still all about Sloan. Who does Jason Shea play at the point? That's important. And then it goes into who goes on to the wing against Sean Conway. Now, Sean Conway isn't the leading scorer for VMI, but there seems to be some sort of intangibles that he allows. He also does tend to pick up a lot of fouls. He fouled out against the Virginia Tech Hokies, a game that Virginia Military could have won, maybe if they had Conway for the full 40. But in games that he's gotten into foul trouble, which have been a lot, the Keydets have not necessarily performed that well. I mentioned their loss to Samford. It's a 15-point loss. It really is embarrassing. But it came with Conway sitting on the bench for half the game, only got 20 minutes because he had 4 fouls. So if Conway sits, again, remember, VMI not a deep team, ETSU is an easy winner. But if he doesn't, now VMI might be able to win this ball game. And VMI might just be able to win this ball game. You know, 26 years ago, VMI came into the Mini-Dome and to play an ETSU team that was slipping, but you didn't know how far they had slipped. And they were still coached by Alan LaForce, and Alan LaForce took ill before the game, and John Schulman, the assistant coach, actually filled in as a head coach for him. This was February 11th, 1995, and you have to understand ETSU was still riding at that time. It had been a few years, but they were still, you know, remembering their national ranking. They were still considering themselves a SoCon contender. VMI was trying to rise up from the bottom with Bart Belair's, who was a very good coach for them for several years. And VMI came into the Mini-Dome and defeated ETSU 80-78. It was a shocking loss, and after that, you just knew that the days were over for ETSU, that they had fallen on hard times. And the very next year, they were 7-20. I don't foresee ETSU collapsing if they lose to VMI, but we will see VMI go ahead of ETSU in the standings, and we'll be seeing an ETSU team that'll still be looking for its way at 500, whereas VMI will be playing to move within a half game of the conference lead on Wednesday when they host Furman. That's how big this game is. Victory for ETSU keeps the bums in their place. Victory for VMI, changing of the guard? Folks, nobody else tells it like it. What other media members talked about the ETSU point guard situation? It is absolutely appalling, but nobody is. Just me. So, if you want the real scoop and skinny on the Buccaneers, you hit the like button on YouTube. Follow me there. Follow me on Medium, Twitter. It's Billson Marky, at Billson Marky, 2 L's, by the way. And you'll find me on Twitter. I'm going to get on Gab and a lot of other things. And until next time, I'm Marky Billson.